Leave, right? I'm a man, Gina. I'm a be all right. This is childish. I want you out. I don't even know why you still here. Step! Step! You won! You won, baby!
A what?
You won, damn!
One person believes that the man is supposed to take care and take charge, and he's supposed to control that woman. And the woman believes the polar opposite of that. There's going to be some confusion and problems in that.
So for them to find out what their gender role is, first of all, they got to be observant of themselves, their capabilities, their strengths and their weaknesses, and their partners, and they have to be honest about these things.
Varius.
My name is Nicole Buckley Johnson. I'm a native Memphian from Memphis, Tennessee. You know where the people say, I'm from Memphis. I'm 43 years old or young. You don't start living until you reach 40. I believe in Jesus Christ, God's only son who died for you and me for our sins. And I'm a true believer, and I know that he is real.
All right, my name is Alazar Gad Yasharala. I'm from Portsmouth, Virginia, born and raised. Pretty much hadn't been too many places outside of Virginia. And my faith would be the Hebrew faith, or I guess you could say a messianic Hebrew, a Hebrew who believes in Christ. So that's me.
Gender role stereotypes are when a person is expected to act in a certain way based on society's expectations related to their gender. Traditional gender roles go back to a time when there were clear and, at times, unequal rules about how people were expected to act based on their gender. People who were born male were expected to be strong and aggressive, not emotional, and, of course, to love sports. People who were born female were expected to be kind and nurturing, emotional, and domestic, meaning they were all supposed to be able to cook and clean. Gender role stereotypes also affect people's understanding of who is beautiful and who is not. People still go to great lengths to try and conform to these unrealistic ideals they see in popular media.
I believe I'm pretty modern, so my mindset is not of those of our parents and grandparents. I believe in a family. It really, I just don't believe in gender roles like that. Like, if it's the man and he like to cook, let him cook, And our grandparents and parents, they believed in the woman cook, the woman clean, the man, he reared the children. I believe you work together to do whatever you're good at and put your talents together and work this family thing. It's about relationship, it's about love, but it is, as some people say, it's a business too. So I just, some people are really dead into that, like you the man, you're supposed to do this, you the woman, you're supposed to do this. I think you're supposed to work together.
Well, gender roles, what I had learned in studying history, for the most part, it worked for the strengths and weaknesses of both gender. Both genders have certain things that they're not so good at, and things that they're great at, and the gender roles seem to put people in places where they're most effective. And the basic men, provider, protector, leader, and the woman playing the supportive role. You know, she add to, you know, maybe some things he don't see. And she is the leader to the children. You see what I'm saying? Since she spend the most time with the children. So that's the way that I see it. Like it's a ladder type of thing. It's God, Christ, the man, the woman, the children. And that's the way that I see it.
Well, I'll say this. One thing about a relationship, it's not going to be successful if you're not on one accord and you don't have the same beliefs. If one person believes that the man is supposed to take care and take charge, and he's supposed to control that woman, and the woman believes the polar opposite of that, there's going to be some confusion and problems in that. So the first thing in a relationship, you got to have a mate that you are equally yoked with, that you two agree on one accord on things, on beliefs and such. So that's the first thing. If you're not on the same accord and have the same belief system, you're gonna have some issues. That's why a lot of times Jewish people can't marry a Christian person. In that relationship, they start running into different issues and such. So you have to look at things like that. So that's the first part of that. But if you are together and you're already married, not just in a relationship, in a marriage, and you may have to go through some counseling to talk about, you know, those roles. Because if, I'm gonna say again, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a woman, but if that man has those beliefs and he's been reared in, the man is supposed to be the head and the woman's supposed to be seen, and the only place where she's useful is the kitchen and the bedroom, then it's going to be some issues. But if you have those issues, first thing that's important in marriage is communication. So you have to talk to your spouse and listen to your spouse. And, you know, one thing about communication is listening is a part of that. Some people always forget that part of it. You know, I just supposed to talk and my spouse listen to what I say, but I gotta listen to my spouse too. So one thing that's important in marriages or in a relationship is compromise.
Well, communication is very important, and this is one of the weaknesses of I believe what social media has caused. There's been sociologists who have studied the effects of social media in the public. And this pretty much has radicalized a lot of people that wouldn't have normally been very radicalized in their positions. And you'll find many people who, when you see them in person off of the social media sphere, they're not as radical as they appear on these platforms when they're not in front of the people they're opposing. And so that causes people to not communicate in the most effective way. And so for them to find out what their gender role is, first of all, they got to be observant of themselves, their capabilities, their strengths and their weaknesses, and their partners. And they have to be honest about these things. A lot of people think that there's something good about fighting against your own biology. There's nothing good about that. And so I think that the solution is communication, observation, and each other really listening and being sincere and real about the reality that we live in.
More of that. You know what I mean? We need more men to stand up and lead the way. Most women are trying to be the leader. That's why you can't find a man. You can't be the king in the house. Fall back and be the queen and let your man lead the way. So I salute you for that.
What does that mean? You can't be a leader? Because a lot of women look at it like, no, you know, I could lead in my household. I could do this in my household. What does that mean?
That's not how it's supposed to be, and that's why we bump heads. And I feel like it's a generational thing. And we could talk, we can go real deep on that, and I don't need to start that, but it's a generational curse. And how society have placed our men. And women have to stand up and be the mother and the father and the provider. And so then now you are so bad, you can't be told nothing, that when the right man come, you lose him because you're trying to be the man. I was finna say,
Right.
Men.
Can we be equal?
Oh, of course. Because at the end of the day, I'm the neck, my man's the head. So he can't make any moves without his wife. You know what I mean? It all works together. But you can't be the head of the house. You got to let the man be the head of the house.
You know, in some ways I am old school. And I don't have a problem with submission to my husband. I've said to him many times before, I'll follow him as long as he follow and love Christ like Christ loved the church. Now, when his beliefs start being a little different, then we're gonna have a problem. But I think that a woman and a man, or anybody in a relationship, they submit to one another. A relationship is give and take. It's not all take and it's not all give. It's that word again, compromise. Because no two people think the same all the time. And that's one thing for sure. Especially if you have a mind of your own. Women sometimes want the man to guess what she wants. We have to know how to communicate and tell a man what we want instead of wanting them to read our minds. We want people to read our minds. And that's to a detriment of a relationship. It can be.
Well, submission in today's world has been demonized when it comes to females, but men actually submit all the time on a daily basis, and nobody demonizes it. You have a army sergeant, and he's leading a whole platoon of however many, and the men are expected to submit to his orders and do what they're told, and they do so. You have football, basketball, all these different sports. You have leaders and brothers who have to submit to what the leader is saying, or that team does not win. So when it comes to women and submission, you have certain movements that have demonized the idea of women submitting when everybody has to submit. The same women that will oppose submission expect their children to submit to their will. I mean, children don't always want what their parents want. So what do you do in those occasions? Do you say, well, I don't teach submission, so the child can go out and do things that I know may harm them. They may not have that knowledge because of this particular philosophy. But when you look up submission, it depends on the context that you're using it. When it comes to the wife submitting to the husband, this is talking about submitting, coming up under his leadership. See what I'm saying? Y'all have to be in agreement. If the leader is saying, I'm going this way and this is the direction, submission played a part when she submit to what he just said. We're going here. All right, I'm under that leadership. You see what I'm saying? And that's all it means. Anything can be taken negative or positive. It's just the fact that many of our people are living in this constant state of fear and terror. And if many of them are honest, they never went through some of these color purple experiences that they are imagining every situation in their life is going to be.
I believe in therapy. I'm not a professional. I can't look and get to the surface of things that really need to be tap into the surface and what really needs to be hit on, or where the disconnect is in a relationship. I believe that sometimes you need that middleman, that person to look inside of what's going on in your relationship to see what's broken and how it can be fixed, and if it can be fixed. A lot of people don't want to talk about divorce or separation, but it happens. And most of the times I think it happens when sometimes two people lose love for one another. But not only can they lose love for one another, they can lose respect. If you lose respect, you may have an even bigger issue ahead, especially in a relationship. But they say finances and communication is the number one cause a separation. But I'm gonna say this: people have to have a willing spirit. Some people never want to be wrong. Some people always want to be right. That can be an issue, but if two people can come together, and they can come to terms and they can really express what their needs are, what they're lacking in the relationship, then I think they can work it out. When people have even deeper issues than just the relationship, like finances and such, some people need to get even another kind of help. Because guess what? Even if you can't be successful by yourself, you can't be successful in the relationship. If finances is an issue or something like that, it's gonna come that you're gonna have some even more deeper, some deep issues.
I think at least on the brother's part, demonstrating that he's a fascinating leader and doing his part to show her the benefits of his leadership and how easier it makes her life, rather than, because much of leadership, and this is the part that a lot of sisters don't recognize or don't accept, is when you're asking for a leadership role, you're asking for higher amounts of responsibility. So you have so many sisters that want these roles, but they don't want the same kickback of failing in those same roles. You have, they don't have the same kickback in failing in those same roles. So I think that if the brother demonstrate that he is a great leader and he shows it, that will help encourage it. But it takes trust. It requires trust. And this is what doesn't make sense about getting in these relationships where there's no trust, because a lot of that is happening. I mean, it's either you trust a man or you don't. Either he trusts you or you don't. I mean, just imagine if a man had been cheated on in the past and he went to all the rest of his relationships with the idea that all of these women are going to cheat on me. Would it be fair for the woman that she live under constant scrutiny and accusation of cheating because the last woman did? That would be unreasonable, and any woman would say so. So it is the same thing with this sort of color purple view of all brothers who are trying to play these leadership roles, trying to do these leadership roles, which is his nature to do so. And the sisters giving them such resistance without a proper cause. The brother hasn't actually done anything or said anything that will lead you to say, well, this guy is going to take this role and do me harm. If the brother have shown you nothing but good, why imagine that this guy is the color purple characters? And that's why I say it's a lot of fear. So the solution is to stop giving into fear. Stop giving into fear of things that may never ever happen. You don't have a real reason for assuming this person that you chose to be with. Let's emphasize that. You sat down and chose to be in this relationship. The both of you did. Why would you choose to be in a relationship with somebody that you have declared you will never trust? It just makes no sense. It's either you're in the relationship or you're not. And we want it both ways. We want to put people in positions that only people you trust should be in. But then we also want to say that we don't trust these people that we put in these positions that trust is required for them to be in the position. It's counterproductive. So remove the fear. Have faith in the partner that you chose if you know you chose the right one. Try something different and look at your results. That's what I suggest.
Parenting is a journey. And while every parent approaches raising children differently, we share in common the desire to raise caring, courageous children.
oftentimes people misconstrue the power of children. People get pregnant purposefully, or get people pregnant on purpose, to work out a marriage, or a relationship. And marriage never kept, a baby never kept a man or a woman. Not in my opinion. I think children complicate the relationship. If you're already struggling to, relate with one another, and you include another person that two people feel strongly about, it throw all kind of monkey wrenches into the situation. So, the first thing I say is, before you have children, work out whatever differences you have in the relationship. Make sure that you're on one accord with what your belief system is with raising and rearing a child. Get out some of the things that we were raised to do. Hollering at children. You go back to that episode of Good Times when the mother hollered at the child so much that she didn't know her child had a hearing issue, because that was her way of, that's how she was taught to communicate through her parents and her grandparents, and that's how she thought that was the correct way with her child. But she couldn't even see that her child had an issue because she was doing what she was taught to do. Let's stop having some of those generational curses and things that we used to do, especially in the Black community.
Well, in my culture, we are taught to make sure we are constantly a part of our children's education. So you teach them, the basic, don't steal, don't harm, so forth and so on. You also demonstrate these things. A lot of the things you're going to have to show your children. There was a time in history where brothers would actually take their sons to work. If, say, they was a mechanic, they would take their sons to the shop to watch him work. Maybe even say, yo, pass me this tool. Teach them the toolbox. So I think that a lot of hands-on got to be done. I think we, as a people, we lack enough of us in educating our children ourselves. We put a lot of faith that this system will educate and socialize our children in the way that's most beneficial to them and their overall surrounding and people. And we need to put that faith in ourselves. We are capable of doing these things. There are other cultures. You look at the Chinese, and the little boys or girls come from school, American schools, and they'll go to another school that's focused on their education into their culture, to reserve who they are and their history and what their purpose is. So much of what we have to do with raising comes with education and demonstration. Of course, the necessities, the needs for providing, make sure they can eat, make sure they're comfortable and safe and well, and housing and things of that nature. And the man brings something and the woman brings something. And this is how we have a balanced upbringing. Typically, the men bring structure, discipline, and pretty much the more logical thinkings, and the mother brings more emotional intelligence, and both of these are important because in order to enjoy life, you must joy is an emotion. So in order for you to be able to emotionally express yourself in an effective way to enjoy life and enjoy socializing and so forth and so on, this is what the female brings in, creativity, a lot of abstract values. The man may focus on physical building, But for the most part, I think that the children should at some level be a reflection of their mother and their father. The gifts that their mother has, the gifts that their father have, we should be able to look at the children and see that it has been passed on to the next generation.
Get the slave mentality out of it. Let's get more love into, rearing a child. And, I always like how some communities do, with their rearing of children. In our community, we have a lot of family and togetherness, but children are not taught about some of the things that mean so much and that can help children be successful in life. In different cultures, everything starts at the dinner table. People talk about finances and credit, and they start teaching their children about the stock market when they're little elementary age children, and teaching them about manners and teaching them how to go out and stand out in the crowd. We just have to, be on one accord of, how we can make our children successful. Oftentimes we give our children so much in the Black community, but it's some of the things that's so important that we don't give them. And sometimes it comes from some of our traditions and ignorance. People don't understand what ignorance is, but ignorance is because you don't know, not because you're dumb and you can't learn how. I think that's how we can be successful with child rearing. It's so difficult raising our Black children that come up with so many obstacles against them, especially Black boys, because those Black boys are going to grow up to be Black men. And so I tell any parents, you have to be on one accord because you have to be an advocate for your child. Your child cannot defend themselves, but they need parents who can stand together to defend them, whether you're a single parent or if you're a parent raising the child together. You have to advocate for your child and know what's really important and stop doing some of the things that we were raised to do.
The answer to the last question, when you raise your children and have a certain solid foundation and they're properly socialized to love themselves, to love their culture, to love their people, and to love their direction, oftentimes when they're faced with things to move them off that path, their love for what they already are will keep them where they are. They will keep them loyal to their family, their values, the benefits that they receive from practicing A, B, or C. And also, they got to be careful with examining their surroundings. Sometimes it's not you that gets you in trouble, but the people that you hang out with. They got to be aware that they got to learn you got to teach your children how to examine what is good character, what is not good character. Simple things like if your child see let's say another kid, I guess, bullying a kid, but that bully isn't attempting to bully them, that's a poor choice of character. Your child should be taught to make the decisions to, in some way, shape, or form, either correct that behavior if they have the courage to do so, or remove themselves from that situation. But a lot of it has something to do with the child's ability to examine the characters of the peers around them. And then you have, let's say, like I said, like style. You see what I'm saying? You got certain styles that are orchestrated by what they call the dominant society that are counterproductive. You as the parents are already supposed to give them a culture that gives them their style that they're already proud of. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of those answers is the things that we instill within the children from a youth, and they get to actually test what they've been taught. When those things come to confront them, they get to test and see how effective it is.
I'm gonna say this, in a relationship, you have to learn how to share. And For everybody, that's not an easy task. Cause let me tell you, I always make a joke about my husband because my grandparents raised me, and my grandma always loved to see my husband eat because he loved to eat. And you have to learn how to share in a relationship. And one of the things that was so funny to me when we first married, I remember walking into the kitchen, and my husband, his name is Kevin, he was standing in the kitchen and he was eating my leftovers. And everybody know me, I'm real funny about my food. So I was looking at this man eating my leftovers, and I looked at him, I said, are those my leftovers you're eating? He said, yeah. I said, don't do that. It's something so funny and simple, And I still, after 10 years of being married, and we've been dating for 19 years. And, it's still funny that, he'll still eat my leftovers anyway. And, your children find out things about you too, because, you try to teach your children about sharing and stuff like that. And, my youngest son, his name is Noah, and he looked at me one day because he was asking me for something I had, and he was like, "Mommy, why you don't like to share?" And it's not that I don't like to share, but I'd rather buy you your own than give you some of mine. But in a relationship, it's give and take, and you got to share. And you have to have love. And I think even though people say that, love is not all, it's not the end all and be all, but I think it takes love. And it takes compromise, give and take.
So the recent plague that's, got everybody going crazy, it said that a lot of Black parents in like the South, I think it was, is now heavy on homeschooling and stuff. I think that is very effective. I think that's the direction we as a people should go. We should get people who are educated and equipped. There's a lot of old mothers, old grandmothers who were teachers, elementary teachers, who are just kind of sitting around with, I guess you could say, nothing to do. Many of these women will be more than willing to watch and be around children and teach them and so forth and so on. Use their skills, because nobody's utilizing the skills that they've been trained for so long. They would love the opportunity to help the community in that type of way. So that would also help socialize the children to counter a lot of the bad behavior that is amongst both male and female of our children. So I think that homeschooling is a subject that we as so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, we need to really sit down and talk about that. Because, like I said, you have other cultures that will leave the public school and they come home to another school that's more cultural based, teaching them their history, things that they can be proud of, their language, and they can go into their own ancient history and see all their accomplishments, and seeing all the accomplishments of their people and their ancestors will encourage them to accomplish also. Many of our children are not taught about the accomplishments of their ancestors, more recent or ancient. The only thing many of our children know about is slavery in some way, shape, or form. That's kind of shoved down our throats, but that's not our only history. We got a lot more glorious history than just how we survived slavery. Even Black Wall Street is not even talked about that much. You got a lot of so-called Blacks that are trying to push it to the forefront, but it's not being taught out of the schools. And many of us haven't even heard of Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, until they got out of public schools. So this shows you that educational system has failed us in that way. If we were expecting it to give us a proper education to sort of alleviate us of a lot of the social issues in our communities.
In closing, I want to thank you so much for having me tonight rather. I appreciate being here. Also, if you want to follow me, you can follow me at Nicole Buckley Johnson on Instagram. I'm also in Buckley 97 at yahoo.com, NBUCKLEY 97 Nicole Buckley Johnson as well at Yahoo. I am going to be starting my own podcast, so please follow me on Instagram for information about that. And thank you so much, and I hope you have me again, Jerome. I appreciate it.
I will be actually creating a YouTube pretty soon, trying to get everything prepared and set up right for that. So it's gonna be named, Alazar Gad Yasharala, just like was here. And I'm gonna be trying to, share the information, give encouragement, give good direction. So, I guess when that's up and running, Alazar Gad Yasharala, we'll plug that. And I appreciate the brother Teron Wright for introducing me to you and getting me to the platform and all the things that he do. I think that's it. And of course, all praises to the Most High who created us all and got us all here today doing good and well by Hashem Yahawashi Mashiach. Hallelujah. That's it.
The Varius